Hello guys, Alex Fedotoff here, and today we have an amazing guest. We have Jacobo Uribe. So Jacobo is 26. He joined our program, Brand Builders Academy, 2 months ago, and yesterday he had his first 5.5K. Day before he had 5Gs in revenue. I'm here to pretty much learn from Jacobo, kind of like his thought process. How can someone get into like e-commerce and get that traction like faster than other people? You have like, let's say, give the same training, same resources to 100 people, and then 5-10 of them are outlier, just like outpacing everyone. So I'm here to learn, and I'm here to kind of like reverse engineer that process for everyone, so everyone can grow and learn and accelerate their success.
Let's do it, man.
What's your background? Like, when did you start with e-commerce in the first place?
So I started with e-commerce early 2021. I had a previous business for about almost 3 years in the resale of smartphones and other electronics. Mm-hmm. And so that's
on
what I did for
on the
a while.
internet or like locally?
So I put ads on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist. So that was the internet side of it. That's where I found people to buy these cell phones off of. But I would buy them locally, like I would meet people in person, and then I had some contacts in China that would, purchase them from me directly. And so I would just, if they gave me, say, $600 for a phone, I would just pay, $450, $500 in cash, and then meet that person, buy the phone, and then ship it out to China in bulk.
So people from China would buy the phones, like they have deficit or something of the phones?
Well, there was a big resale market, and I'm sure there still is. And a lot of them also dealt with, broken phones. So that was the other thing is like, when somebody cracks their screen, for example, they think that the phone is worthless. Like, I knew a girl that like cracked her phone and just straight up threw it in the trash.
Wow.
And, I told her, I was like, that phone like still worth like $300, believe it or not. And so I would buy them in these damaged conditions, sell them to these wholesale suppliers. They would fix it up and then they would resell it, direct to consumer there. And I don't know the exact like logistics of how it worked, but the prices were slightly higher over there. So, everybody won. Obviously because they were buying it wholesale, they were making less per phone, but they were buying, hundreds, thousands of these, tens of thousands even every month. So it's pretty lucrative business, a lot of fun, not very scalable.
How much money you were making, like, was that business?
About 6 figures a year in profit. Like my best month was like 9K.
Very
on
nice.
average, I was making around 6 to 8. Yeah, so it wasn't bad. I started that business when I was 21. So I was making a decent income for a little bit. It was really just not until COVID hit where like obviously not being able to run that business, meeting people in person, that kind of completely crashed the entire revenue stream. And then there was, that stigma of like, obviously phones, like they're in your hands all the time. So they're kind of like dirty and like, we all know the type of grime that gets on phones. And so, for a while I just couldn't do business at all with that. And that's how I got into e-commerce essentially, is I wanted to figure out something I could do that was completely online based. And just being in that space, I would get a lot of ads for, all the e-commerce courses and stuff like that. So it was in the back of my head, and I was like, all right, let's give it a shot. So
okay, so you started, so you kind of like were forced to do like e-commerce at that point of time. So what happened? Like your first like experience was like e-commerce, like launching a few stores. Like what happened?
Yeah, so like I said, I had been shown these ads of e-commerce courses. And I think it was like Charlie Brandt or something like that. I can't remember his name. But he had some system about using Google Ads. So, I went through the course. I built my first store. I still remember that first product. It was like this like sushi like maker. And in my head, I'm like, oh, everybody wants to like eat sushi. But, their restaurants are still closed down. So it's going to be a great product. The strategy that he had didn't work at all for that product. But yeah, just to like, sum that up, it was just a lot of stores that I had tried with that strategy. I spent probably close to $2,000 in ads, and just like, I think I generated a few sales out of that. So it was a huge loss for sure, but that was my beginning into like learning to build stores and just e-commerce in general.
Like, so what was the biggest, so you launched those stores, right? And now you obviously kind of like accumulated more knowledge and like understanding of like e-commerce. Like, what do you think was the bottleneck? Like when you were launching those stores, was it the traffic source, with the landing pages, product pages, like mismatch, like product market fit? Like what do you think, or products were simply not good enough for?
Yeah, I would base it on that. Like the products that I was picking were just absolutely terrible. Like I didn't really understand because I mean, when you are just starting and you're seeing all these products on AliExpress and like different suppliers, you're like, oh, that looks cool, that looks cool, that looks cool, but you don't really have this understanding of like, why does the market need this product? You don't even think as far as like, what problem is this solving? Why do people want to purchase this? You kind of just pick a product because it looks cool and just throw it up. So that was the main thing, is like learning just e-commerce in general. Like, why do people want to buy stuff? That's the biggest thing you got to think of. You can't choose a product for yourself, right? Just because you think it's cool, that's not going to speak to your target audience. You got to figure out what your target audience even is and why they want to purchase it, and then you convey that solution to them. So that was a massive understanding that took me a long time to understand, honestly, but that was the biggest bottleneck.
Wow, man, that's awesome. So, okay, so you tried some of these products, didn't work out. Like, you were still like getting like other sources of income during that time. Like, you had to do something else on the side, or you were like all in on e-commerce.
So that was all in. I had no other source of income because that other business I just didn't run anymore. So I was, really hoping to make it work. And so what ended up happening is, I had a lot in savings still that I was using, but it wasn't until May where I actually got like my first profitable day. And I remember I had like the Shopify store linked to the app on my phone. And so I would, I had all these notifications come in, and then I checked my ads and the ad spend, and I was like, oh my God, like it was my first profitable day. I remember like texting everyone like, oh my dude, like you got to check this out. I think I had like 300 in sales or something, but I was super excited because that's when it finally started to work. But, the other bottleneck at that point was I had no idea how to actually scale up the ads and, be able to do that profitably. And by that time, like I had run out of so much cash that I just didn't even have the cash flow to continue growing from there. So I looked for a way to stay in e-commerce because at that point I really began to fall in love with it. Like building the stores and like picking out the products was just a lot of fun for me. So that's where I found Facebook Marketplace. And if you're not familiar with that, I'm sure you're familiar with Facebook Marketplace, right? Like people, buy and sell their old bikes and couches and stuff. But in early 2021, they added a shipping option where you could post stuff on there and anybody nationwide could click on it, put their payment details in within Facebook, and then that would create an order. You would ship it to them. Obviously, huge opportunity for drop shippers. You could just go to a retail supplier like Amazon, Walmart, eBay, order the item there, send it to the customer. So that's what I ended up doing for about a year, because it was a way for me to take the little cash that I had, stay within e-commerce, and learn to build my skills there. And that's honestly a big component of like how I've improved in product research, just seeing, thousands, tens of thousands of products with, throughout that time frame. And that's what eventually has allowed me to reinvest back into Shopify, paying for ads, and creating my own website, not just some listing on Facebook. So,
do you still do that? Do you still do the marketplace?
I do a little bit, but it's all automated. So I teach my strategy to VAs, and they do the product research, they create the listings, they fulfill the orders, deal with customer service. I did have an automation side of it as well, where basically I would create stores like this for investors that are looking to make some passive income as well. So that's still something I do on the side, and like I said, that's what funded this in the first place. Unfortunately, Facebook Marketplace, Meta just in general isn't investing a lot into it. I think it's a massive opportunity. Like I'm sure you've heard of like TikTok putting a lot into e-commerce and really even getting to the point where they're creating fulfillment centers and everything like that to compete with Amazon. Facebook didn't see that as a big opportunity, which I think is a massive oversight, but I don't see a huge future in it. But for now, I mean, it generates a few $1,000s a month. Why not just keep it there if it's fully automated? So,
interesting. So you make a few $1,000s a month from that, like just pretty much passively.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's cool. So is this scalable? Could you scale it like to 10, 20K per month?
At the beginning of this year, yes. So there was the introduction of Facebook Shops, which has been around for a while, and then they linked that to Marketplace. So you were essentially able to get free traffic on whatever you put on a shop. And that's when, you could see these 5-figure profit months. And that was very scalable because you just create a bunch of shops, teach your strategy to VAs and just scale that to the moon. Do what I did as well with the automation side, get investors to come in and create even more stores. But Like I said, they just have not been investing into the infrastructure for that platform, and so it just hasn't grown, as drastically dropped down. So unfortunately, no, I don't see it being scalable anymore like that.
So so you mentioned before we jumped on the call, this store that's currently doing 5Gs a day. Mm-hmm. You started when, like 2 months ago, like 1.5?
Yeah, I was like, so I remember making the store the day after my birthday, which is on the 5th, and literally I spent all day like creating the store and getting the ads ready to launch the next day. So yeah, it's been just a little bit over a month.
Cool. So what was the thought process like? So you made some mistakes. You had some stores that got to profitability. What was your like thought process? Did you put like a lot of time into product research? Like, did you really kind of like know, okay, so this is the market I'm going after, this is the problem I'm solving, this is my angle to differentiate from everyone else, like, or was it more like, okay, let's just test this product as quickly as possible, just like boom, boom, boom? Like, what's your process look like?
Yeah, it was a little bit of that. I got to the point where I'm like, I think that I need to just get out of this testing phase as quickly as possible. And, for me, I'm a huge perfectionist, so I found myself spending way too much time trying to make the product page like as perfect as possible, like every detail. Like I would spend hours like working on this one section of the product page, and I realized that isn't really what you need to be worried about in the beginning. Like, yes, over time you really perfect those things and make tweaks here and there. But I just wanted to start testing stuff quickly, and really the main thing is, instead of finding products through my old product research methods, I focused more on the sniping side of it so that I could see what was already working and more just focus on the weaknesses and places where I could improve upon. So being able to take somebody else's framework that was already working, that had a lot of flaws, and just making that a little bit better would mean that I would get to see success very quickly. So the first product that I tested using that sniping method and just like improving upon it was, it clicked right away.
Can you provide like an example of kind of like, let's say you would find a product like random, let's say you wanted to launch like another store like today, right? Mm-hmm. What would be your thought process? Maybe there's some specific like niches that you'd look into it, or specific products or specific like categories of products. Like where would you go?
I wouldn't particularly be worried about a certain niche. I just would want to see that it's been proven to a certain extent, right? Mm-hmm. So a way to look at that, if you're using Mynea, for example, and you're looking at Facebook ads, if someone has say 2,000, 3,000, maybe even 5,000 likes on a product, and there's a good chance that they've been profitable on that for quite a bit of time. So that's what I want to see first, that it's already been proven. I don't want to bring a brand new product onto the market unless I'm improving on a previous one. Because in my opinion, I think any product can be a winning product. It's just the economics of it have to make sense. That's the main thing that I would look at. If there's a product that's doing really well, has a lot of potential, has a good product market fit, but you can only mark it up, up to $30 before the conversion rate starts dropping, and like the cheapest you can source it is $15. Like, you're going to have an impossible time, in today's marketing world where like CPAs are like $15-20. You're just not going to be profitable. So that's the first thing, is just proven, the economics make sense. And the third thing is there a way that I can improve on that? Can I, maybe get cheaper fulfillment? Can I make a better product page? Can I make better ads? How do I make myself better than the competitor? And so there needs to be like some kind of clear weakness there, which like for my product, for example, the one that I found, that competitor was only running one image ad to that entire product, and that was all that they had. But they had like 15, almost 20K likes. And so I'm like, okay, like I just need to do the same thing they're doing, improve on the product page, which was also really mediocre. They had like 12 reviews. Very, very simple copy, and it was just that one image ad. So I'm like, okay, I just create better content, I make a better website, and it's just going to be just incredibly easy to take that.
That's awesome. Is that like, so you found the product on Mynea?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's like, I'm hearing, people say like, oh, I'm using Mynea, and it's like, and it's kind of like shows like the same products like that I have seen before, or the same products that I have, or like probably everyone is selling them, right? I think what a lot of people are looking for, they're looking for this like unique, like magical kind of like
the
product
unicorn.
that didn't, unicorn that didn't exist before, like just fell from the moon, and then suddenly like you're the one like finding that product, bringing it to the world. Like, what do you think about that mindset?
It's just not realistic, right? Like there's thousands, tens of thousands of people doing the same thing that you're doing. And like, when it comes to like product innovation, yeah, there's new products that come to the market, but for the most part, like they're just products that, if there are new products, they're just products that have improved on, a previous version. Like I remember you shared something to the group about like a shower head, and it's like that product's been around for like a decade, dude. And there's just been improvements on that over time. And that's what you got to keep an eye out for. Like those are the unicorn products. It's just a different solution to the same problem that's always going to be there. And that's what you should be looking at, not like this brand new product that nobody has ever seen before. That's not really how it works. You just have to find a way to provide that solution better or in a different way. That's really what it comes down to.
You can see it, I like going to like Whole Foods or like Target in just like shopping and looking at like different products that being like introduced. For example, there's the water, right? You look at all of these kind of like the whole shelf with the water, and there's like 30 types of water. It doesn't mean that like that space is like saturated. People say it's like saturated, right? It just means you have to like bring some new angle, some new idea to that market. It means there is a demand, people are buying it, right? You just have to do a better job than your competition in order to differentiate from them. So that could be the water from like, I don't know, Miami water, like, or special like Mexican water, like make a good story. Like Fiji water has this like nice story of like, there's like a volcano and there's somehow like it spills from the top, right? And it's like, and from there, like it goes through this like natural filtration system that was refined for like millions of years. And from there, like it pours into your bottle, and that's what you're drinking.
I dated a girl who her brother like would only drink Fiji water, like religiously, and he actually would buy it in bulk. And that water costs literally twice as much for each bottle, but because of everything you just said, he would be fine purchasing that. And in his head, he'd be like, oh, it just tastes so much better. Like, I can't drink regular water at all because it's not of the same quality. And so it's all about how you actually market and brand that product. Because, solving the problem of thirst, like that's an age-old issue, right? Like we're thirsty, we want to drink. But there's that level of sophistication, right? Where it's like over time when there's so many products that are promising the same thing, people kind of get desensitized to that. So you have to learn how to create a new solution and, take people away from that. Hey, I'm not just selling you the same old water bottle. I'm selling you this water bottle that came from the volcanoes that a unicorn like cried in it. And now it's got like all these magical properties, right? Like you just have to improve upon that. And you have to kind of figure out like, okay, where in that sophistication scale is that product? Is it a brand new product where I have to explain everything to the customer about, what it does and why it solves this problem? Or is it far along the lines of like, I just need to improve upon what they've already seen? So every product's at a different stage in that sophistication. Saturation does exist, but it exists in those pockets of the sophistication scale where it's like, yes, over time, if you market the same product over and over to that same target audience, they will, that pocket will get saturated, but all you have to do is just go to the next step and just, like you said, improve on that product, and then that's just a brand new pocket that isn't saturated at all. So a problem never gets saturated, it just goes through this life cycle of introduction to, improvement.
Exactly. Cool. So in terms of your like funnel, like did you go like all in already, like on like optimizing your conversion rate, average order value, like adding like upsells and stuff like that, or not yet?
Yeah, so from the beginning I had a just cross-sell offer post checkout, but over time I've been actually just improving and increasing just what the catalog had to offer within that theme, within that niche of that store. But over time, just getting feedback from the ads, getting feedback from the customers, just kind of seeing like what that type of person wants to have in the store that I'm trying to build. That's something that I'm continuously improving upon and figuring out what that exactly is. And still kind of nailing down what my brand's mission is and building the products and catalog around that. As far as like conversion rate of the product itself, that's my first priority right now. because for one, I'm still drop shipping. Two, like I don't have any customization as far as like the packaging of how the customer receives it. So that's the first thing. It would have been something that started sooner, but because of the Chinese New Year starting up soon, the factories won't be able to actually create all this stock for me yet. But that's going to be the first thing, particularly because I'm in the jewelry niche. This product is at least. And so I think a lot of that comes down to, because jewelry at the end of the day is pretty worthless if you think about it. Like it's very cheap to make. Like it's one of those things where people can just decide not to buy it. It's the meaning that you put behind that product that really speaks to that person. And when you create like really good packaging around that, and that experience for them is heightened, that's exactly what I want to do. And obviously that helps with creating custom content and more towards differentiating myself from competitors. So that's the very first thing that I think will drastically improve the conversion rate and will also make my ads a lot cheaper.
Awesome. So do you do like ads mostly on Facebook or also TikTok?
So I'm doing just Facebook right now. I do want to try a little bit of TikTok. I've gotten some inspiration for things that could work with my product, just looking at other ads that people are running successfully. I think the next platform, though, that I want to move to is Pinterest, just because the majority of my customer base is like women 35 to even 65 plus, which is, the largest demographic there. And also I've had my pixel installed on there from Pinterest since the beginning, so I've been able to build up a lot of purchases there. So it should be easier for me to use that data to find new customers and not have to test out a bunch of interests at the beginning. So we'll see. Both of those are definitely on the horizon, though. At this point, I do just want to kind of master Facebook ads first and then start to slowly try those other platforms out.
If you were like to give advice, like let's say to yourself or to someone who's like maybe starting like on the e-commerce journey, like what would be your like top 3 pieces of advice that you would give them?
Number one is be really good at product research. Going back to, a point I made earlier in this call is just understand why people buy stuff, right? It's not just about like what everybody else teaches. It's like, oh, the product just has to have a wow factor. And it's like, yes, that's a component to it. But, at the end of the day, you're solving a certain kind of problem. And that's really something that you got to really nail down, is like, why are people going to purchase this product before you pick it, before you start testing it. So read a lot of marketing books, understand why people buy things. So that's number one.
What marketing books would you recommend?
The most recent one that I've read is Breakthrough Advertising. It's actually one that you recommended, and I absolutely love that book. I mean, that book has helped me so much as far as like creating my ads and building the product page and just the entire customer experience and just my overall. Even though, like, I mean,
the book was written when there was no Facebook ads,
Yeah, seriously. I mean, the book is literally like 70 years old, dude. Like, the person who like rewrote it was like, yeah, this book is like, even at that point, I think it was like 1970 or 1980. That book was already 20 or 30 years old when he rewrote it. Essentially, I remember I couldn't find it anywhere online, so I was reading like this like weird like scanned PDF version of it, and it was just like strange, and I felt like I was reading like some secret esoteric knowledge that I wasn't supposed to know. Really, really good book though, to like kind of help you understand like the psychology of like how people like read these ads and like how it speaks to them and how you can convey that. So yeah, number one, obviously product research, the most important thing. That's like the basis of everything. 2, I guess, keep it simple. That helped me a lot. Don't be such a perfectionist. I know that you want to make everything perfect at the beginning, but if you're brand new, what you really need to get to is to get past that testing stage where something is working and it's bringing you some profits. And then that's where you can start to be a little bit of a perfectionist and really start to tweak everything exactly how you want it to look. But at the beginning, you really just want to fly through and test a bunch of products out. Obviously, don't half-ass everything and just like throw up a crappy product with crappy ads with a horrible landing page. Like, you want to make sure it's good. It just doesn't have to be perfect. And then I guess third thing, actually very important as well, is look towards like the end goal, right? Because the end goal shouldn't be like, oh, I'm just going to find a really good product and I'm going to make some great profit on it, and it's going to work well for me for 2 or 3 months, and it's going to die down. You want to think about the long term of, if this product does work out, what does that look like in the next 6 months, the next 12, the next 2 or 3 years? Like, what is your long-term strategy for actually building a brand out of this product? What does that actually look like for you? Is there even potential in that? Because if you're just going to be finding, a product every 2 or 3 months, I mean, it's like at that point, you just have like a job that you're constantly having to like recreate and find these new products. So, always look into the long term for the future as well. There's that marshmallow experiment that they did. I don't know if you've heard about this. So, for those that don't know, basically they did this experiment on, I think it was like 100 kids or something. They were like 5 or 6 years old, really young kids. And they would give them a marshmallow, and they would say, hey, if you eat this now, that's the only marshmallow you get. But if you wait until tomorrow, we'll give you 2 marshmallows, right? And so they conducted this for like a week. And so it went on where it's like, hey, here's 2 marshmallows. If you don't eat it now, tomorrow you get 4, right? And so every time they would start to get more and more, but they wouldn't get to enjoy it right away. And the craziest part is they follow these kids after adulthood, after they developed, high school and college, and followed them in their careers to see where they were at. Those kids that didn't eat the marshmallow right away, that waited until they got the biggest payout, were also the most successful in all areas of your life. And so that's how you should think about it, is like, you start having a store that's really profitable at the beginning. Don't just take all those profits out and, like you said, buy the car, buy the house, buy the clothes, everything. If you reinvest that and you just wait a little bit, the payout is going to be much, much bigger. And you're not going to have to do that entire process again. You're just going to build it now, get to sell it, and then that's where you go to the beach. You can have your pina coladas, you can have your Lamborghinis, but just wait a little bit. The marshmallow gets a lot bigger.
Yeah, such a good point, my man. How can people connect with you?
If you are in BBA, just go ahead and send me a message. I'm checking that, every day. Happy to help people out that are, getting started, that have some questions. I am on Instagram as well. I'm not super active on there. To be honest, I delete the app off my phone. The only way I can find it is search for it.
I found that to be, I'm doing these interviews, and like 80-90% of cases, like the people that are like the most successful, they're like, well, I have no Instagram. I mean, that's one of those things as well, like the constant like mental stimulation. Most people know what they need to do in order to grow their business, but then when it comes to actually doing it, it's a lot of work, but this is so accessible, this is so easy, this is one click and you get all of the dopamine, you get all of the like instant satisfaction, like watching at images and mentally stimulating yourself.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it's very dangerous having your phone next to your workplace. That was it is such a minor change, but it made a massive difference in my results. I used to have like my computer right in front of me, and then I had my phone on like right-hand side. And I found that just like every hour, I just like pick it up and just like click on Instagram or Facebook, and I just waste like 15-20 minutes. And the thing is, you're not just wasting 15-20 minutes, your focus is broken. And it takes, about 15-20 minutes for you to really be in that focused state where you're being very productive. So you don't just lose that time, you also have to like get back into that focus. And so just one minor change is literally just put your phone in a different room and just forget about it. And I promise you that will make a massive difference in the amount of work that you get done.
Wow, man,
it's very easy to get into that.
I just want to hear your kind of like perspective as someone who who joined like Brand Builders Academy, kind of like what were like your maybe like hesitations before joining, right? And like how was your experience like so far?
Yeah, so at the beginning I had sort of a hesitation regarding the price, and it was more just my own ego kind of getting in the way, because I was so determined and I was so focused and I was so productive with what I was doing that in my head I was like, well, I'm just going to get there anyway. Like the amount that I'm going to spend on ads is the same I'm going to spend on this program, so why even bother paying for it? And then basically I continued to do the same thing for almost like a month, and I kept losing money and I'm like, I got to be honest with myself, like, yes, I'm very committed. Yes, I'm super, super focused and I'm going to make this happen. But right now I don't know what I'm doing, and I need to get advice from people that have been there, that have done that. And that's how I'm going to get there. So, being able to let go of my ego and, seek help elsewhere and have mentors by my side has, shown incredible returns very, very quickly. Like I said, I've only been in the program for less than 2 months now. I mean, it's ironic because, going back to my smartphone flipping business, I actually had an education company for a few months right before COVID. And that's, exactly like the selling point that I had. I was like, yeah, you could learn how to do this yourself, but you're going to lose a lot of money. Like, you're not going to know what to buy these phones for. You're not going to know what to check for them. And you're going to end up, buying something for $300 and the best you can sell it for is 100, and that's like 200, right? And so like I knew this coming into it, that I was like, I was going to keep losing money because I'm going to have to learn through these mistakes myself. Yeah. And being able to skip through that and learn from people that have gone through all of those mistakes, and also being able to connect with peers, that's another important part, that are at the same level as what you are, is just like there's massive value in that. And also going back to the sophistication thing that we were talking about, like what BBA has in comparison to every other product out there when it comes to, education as far as building an e-commerce store, it's massively different. There's nothing else like it, right? Everybody's making the same promise, but BBA is already at the next level of this is how e-commerce works in 2022 and 2023, where everybody else is still stuck on the 2019, 2020 methods, even prior to that. And that's a massive opportunity in itself. Like, you're getting to join a program that has, strategies and people that are successful right now.
Yeah, and what helps us as well is like, thank you, man, thank you for kind words. Like, sure. So what helps us as well, like for like, we see all of the steps. Like, for example, for you, like, you're like 5 Gs a day, you'll be at 10 Gs a day, 20, 50. We have clients in our like mastermind that are doing like $100, $200, $300,000 per day. And so, and our business, we're doing like very good numbers as well. So we get a lot of like reference points. So I can pretty much kind of like look at your business and kind of like project and see the exact scaling path from here to this being like $10 million a year business. I can see it like step by step, because like we, and our team members as well, because they're having like interactions with these clients that are doing like, 1 million per month, right? And now they're seeing what these guys are doing that you may be not doing. Right, so we can connect the dots and we can see kind of like that path from start to finish. Whereas like a lot of people, I think it's like they can't see what they don't know, or they don't know what they don't know, right? And I think that's
it's great to have that too, man, because like there's different levels to it. So one level could be like you're brand new, you're starting out, you have no sales, and there's like 1K a day, right? And like that's a jump in itself. Then 1K to 5K a day, that's a jump in itself. 5K to 25K. Right, there's different things that you have to do as you kind of climb up every step, and it's a great opportunity to be part of this group, because there's people that are above the level where I'm at, and maybe I don't know how to get there, and they were just where I was, months ago, so they can tell me, hey, this is what I implement into my business, this is what I recommend for you, and then I start to add those things onto my business, and I get there. And then there's someone else that's even at a higher level than that, and so I ask for advice on how to get there, and then you're kind of slowly climbing the ladder with other people, and the people at the top kind of like help pull you up and give you advice on how to get there. And that's really amazing, man. Seriously.
Looking forward to your next breakthroughs, your next successes. 10K a day, 50.
Thanks,
making this like real brand that you'll be proud of. And looking forward, my man. Thank you so much for jumping in this. Yeah.
You're very welcome, man. It was a great talk, lots of fun. Hope this was valuable for other people. And thank you again for this program, man. It's been awesome. So excited for the months to come and just this entire year and where this brand's going to go.
For sure, my man. For sure. Looking forward to it as well. Thank you, Jacobo.
Right,
Thank you, everyone, for watching. Yep. Bye-bye.
Talk later. See ya.